Love him or hate him, Jalen Milroe going first round in the 2025 draft would be huge for Alabama football and Kalen DeBoer. Stick around. This is Way Offsides. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the case may be. Welcome to Way Offsides. Got something we want to talk about. Something important, something good, something that's going to be a little controversial, something that may split the fan base a little bit, but some things that need to be said. Former Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe has gotten, Alabama fans have a love-hate relationship with him. Let's start there. Let's start by talking about Jalen Milroe's career at Alabama. Milroe was two things. He was a glue that held a roster together when Nick Saban retired and a leader in that locker room. But he was also a quarterback who was not necessarily consistent through the air. That's not a knock at him as a person. I think Jalen Milroe is a great person, very likable young man. And I think that his place in Alabama football history, a very storied history, as the fight song says, his name is written in crimson flame. His place is solidified with the Gravedigger play, a lot of things. But there's always going to be that asterisk because there are games where if Jalen Milroe played like we all expect an Alabama quarterback to play, Alabama would have played for a national championship, possibly won a national championship, not lost on the road at Oklahoma, things like that. So his legacy at Alabama is tarnished in the eyes of a lot of Alabama fans. A lot of Alabama fans don't like it. A lot of people believe that Kalen DeBoer coming in and replacing Nick Saban had no choice but to play Jalen Milroe to keep the locker room in his favor last season. All that aside, Jalen Milroe is now gone from Alabama and will be drafting in the 2025 NFL draft. But where does he go? Now, if you watch Jalen Milroe, you know when he's on, he's on. He's got one of the prettiest balls in the country. When it's on, it is literally on. Obviously, everybody in the sports world knows what he can do on the ground. Brian Kelly definitely knows what Jalen Milroe can do on the ground. But where he lacks, or where he lacked at Alabama, was those short and intermediate passes, those really tight windows when we needed to play, and his decision making when there's pressure and things like that. Now, that's not to say Jalen Milroe didn't make some crazy throws. I go back to the Georgia game and my mind immediately goes to that wheel route touchdown to Jam Miller. One of the prettiest throws I've seen since Bryce Young was a quarterback at Alabama. That was an incredible throw. And he had a few of those last season, but he could never do it consistently. And Alabama lost some games because of it. But Jalen Milroe also won games. A lot of times with his legs, but that Georgia game, they won because Jalen Milroe played his tail off through the air. Probably that, I could say that was his best game through the air consistently all four quarters at Alabama. Now, his draft stock was already high. Going into the draft, he's likable. And a lot of people in the media recognize that immediately. A lot of these people who are draft analysts recognize that immediately. And when he sits down in interviews with these head coaches and GMs, they're going to like it. And they like what he can do on the ground. People compare it to Lamar Jackson. And I can see that on the ground, right? I could definitely see that on the ground. Through the air, not so much, even though I think that there are better dual threat quarterbacks in the NFL when you're talking about their ability to disperse the ball through the air than Lamar Jackson. However, Jalen Milroe needed a really strong combine and a really strong pro day. And outside of some errant throws, he had both of those. His Senior Bowl performance was not good. It was not impressive at all. But he did what he needed to do combine-wise and pro day-wise to really make an impact. And you combine that with the fact that you now have a lackluster 2025 QB class. I think the premier guys are him, Jackson Dart, Shedeur Sanders. So there's not a lot of competition coming out in this class. The question was Jalen Milroe going to go first round? Now, a lot of Alabama fans 2 months ago would have been like, absolutely not. There's no way. If you don't look at the full picture, I probably would have said, I don't really see. He's a project quarterback. You know, there's a cautionary tale in the NFL right now with Anthony Richardson, who's a very similar quarterback to Jalen Milroe. Everybody compares Milroe to Lamar Jackson. I think that Anthony Richardson comparison is much more appropriate. And, Richardson, I saw him play in person in Gainesville. I felt like he was a guy that really needed to sit and learn in the NFL and wait his time. I thought Milroe was going to be the same way, but it looks like potentially that's not going to be the case. It looks like all things are trending that Jalen Milroe is going to land somewhere in the first round. He won't be the first quarterback taken off the board, but he will probably be the third or fourth. Potentially, likely, a first-round pick in the 2025 NFL draft. Now, that may rub you the wrong way, and honestly, I don't care if it does. If you're an Alabama fan, you can agree with him being a first-round pick or not. It does one thing for Alabama football, and that's the most important thing, other than Jalen Milroe hopefully getting linked up with a head coach, a team, position coaches, a GM who can build around him, who can nurture him and help him grow to be a successful NFL quarterback, because I do think he could be. He just needs the right people. But if you look at it outside of the scope of Jalen Milroe himself, the program, which has experienced a huge flux, right? Alabama from the 2023 season going into the 2024 season was in flux. It had started even before Nick Saban left. You were seeing a lot of transfers, but then Nick Saban leaves, you lose almost 50 players off your roster between transfers and graduates and NFLs. And then he comes in, and there's all these question marks around the program. They lose 4 games his first year, which a lot of people was picking them to finish way worse than that. But they lose a couple of games that they shouldn't have lost. And they were still, until the bowl game, they were still right on the cusp of making the first 12-team playoff. And you look and go, well, how's this staff going to do recruiting in the SEC? Well, they finished with the number 3-4 class last year. They are in the hunt for the number 1 class for the 2026 class. And one thing is going to help with that. Alabama is going to continue a run of first-round quarterbacks taken in the NFL draft. They've been on this really impressive run with starting quarterbacks in the NFL. One just won a Super Bowl, right? And that is going to continue if Jalen Milroe goes in the first round. That is an exceptionally amazing recruiting tool, because next recruiting cycle, Alabama's going to be looking for a quarterback, right? They've got Austin Mack, they've got Ty Simpson, they've got Keelan Russell. We're assuming that we'll be able to keep Keelan Russell for another 2 years. But Alabama is going to have to start thinking about what happens when he graduates. Who's the next 5-star guy that's going to come in that we're all going to be calling for to start? And so how do you get that guy? Well, Alabama's put X amount of guys in the first round of the draft at the quarterback position. Look at the NFL. Look at how many guys are starting. Jalen Hurts just won a Super Bowl. You've got Bryce Young. You've got Tua. Right? Jalen Milroe is going to continue that sales pitch for Alabama and for their staff. Ryan Grubb, Kalen DeBoer will be able to go into recruits' homes and say, hey, we just put a guy in the first round of the NFL draft. He's starting for so-and-so. I think potentially it might be the Steelers. Jeff does not want to hear that. But that is huge for Alabama. And I know that a lot of you are so disgusted with whatever happened politically to where Jalen Milroe had to play and maybe he wasn't the best option, and you don't want to support the kid. But the first time the kid is successful in the NFL, a lot of you are going to be saying, yeah, I remember when he was at Alabama, blah, blah, blah. Support him now. It's okay. There's a difference between, I feel like there's a difference between being critical but being critical in a supportive way. Like I'm critical of Jalen Milroe. I will tell, like I said, there are games where he lost as the quarterback. He was responsible for that loss, but I still want to see him succeed. And I'm still very thankful for the things that he did. One of the greatest plays in Alabama football history, he's responsible for it. We won't name the other guy that was involved in that because he sucks. No, I'm just kidding. But I think Alabama fans should be rooting for Jalen Milroe to make it to the first round. Why do you want him to fail in the NFL? Why would you not want him to get to that next level and blow the doors off the place, whatever franchise takes him? Part of it is because, if he goes to the NFL and stinks it up, we're going to have to hear it from these fans, this and that. Look, recruits, yes, seeing an Alabama quarterback go win a Super Bowl was a big deal. It's a bigger deal to recruits to see an Alabama quarterback go in the first round and get a big payday. And no matter what, no matter how he performs in the NFL, Jalen Milroe is going to go get a big payday. Right? So tell me in the comments below, do you want to see Milroe make it first round? Do you not care about the NFL? Are you going to follow Jalen Milroe's NFL career? I probably will. I think I will. Not as closely as some other guys that I follow, but I want him to do well. Jalen Milroe, I've said this before. I appreciate the fact that he's stuck, because I guarantee you when Nick Saban retired, Jalen Milroe got phone calls and he stuck it out. Could Alabama have had a different season, a more competitive season without him? Maybe. That's possible. I'm not going to pretend like it's not. But I have no control over the coaching decisions and what happens on the field. So I take it with a grain of salt, and I'm going to support the kid in the draft and in the NFL because it looks better on our program as a whole. Alabama historically has had a lot of first-round draft picks, and they use that for recruiting. They did it under Nick Saban, and if they can continue to do it under Kalen DeBoer, that is a scary thing. Why would you not want that? Tell me. Be loud. Be boisterous. If I'm wrong, say, Cotton, man, you're stupid. He sucked. He was awful. Why are you telling us to support him? While you're over there doing that, make sure that you subscribe. You can find us on all social media. Smash that subscribe button as hard as you can. The harder you smash it. Never mind. I can't say that. Best comments will be featured on our live Thursday night. Don't miss it, 8 p.m. Central Time right here on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, please, like I said, go over to YouTube. It takes a couple seconds. Smash that subscribe button. Like this video, leave a comment, and hit the notification bell while you're there so you know whenever we post content. We've got new segments coming up, Cotton Time. We're posting shorts all the time, so you're not going to want to miss those. And then obviously our lives are about to bring After Dark back. A lot of you love After Dark. That was one of our favorite shows to do. And then we'll do a lot of live shows this football season as well. So get in here for your recruiting news and all these other things, and tell me what you feel about this 2025 draft and Jalen Milroe and where he should go. Until then, until next time, wash your daggum hands. Just wash them, put deodorant on. You stink. Just kidding. Wash your hands, read your Bible, say your prayers. Horns down, beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too. Roll Tide.